Thanks, Aisha. Not that I'm counting, but in about 18 days, Jacksonville kids go back to school. College kids go back in a week or two to get settled in before their classes begin. And that means that you moms and dads are thinking about back-to-school shopping. And analysts this go-around are very interested, perhaps more interested than ever, in your buying habits. So far, with unemployment still at 9.6%, consumers are saving more than they have in years. They're being frugal with their purchasing. They're holding on to their cash. Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management, here to discuss the back-to-school shopping period, why retailers are looking at it, what it means for you consumers, and why you are holding on to your money. There was a report that came out like 20 minutes ago, and it just substantiates what we'd already known.
Yeah, the RBC Consumer Sentiment Index came out, and they track all kinds of things like, what do you think about the economy? What do you think about your job security? What do you think you're going to spend on back to school? And as it turns out, about 50% of the people out there are going to spend less than they did last year even, which was a dismal year to begin with.
So the retailers are taking note of that. So what's the fallout for the retailers, and what's the benefit to we consumers?
Yeah, there's a couple of parts to this, and that report assumes that prices stay the same. So we know that there's always a price when something can be sold. The retailers know this. They're going to have to chop prices a little bit more to get people moving. And, there are certain things that people can't do without, so there will be some spending out there. And, watch your mailbox and your newspaper and the TV for some pretty stellar sales to come up in the next week or so.
So people are saying, okay, I'm spending less, and instead of going ahead and using that money to buy other things, they're actually putting it in the bank or in investments. In fact, the savings rate is up to 6.4%, triple what it's been in recent history. But, I got some Facebook messages from people when I mentioned we were going to talk about this morning. Like Kathy said, they didn't look at my bank account, and Renee said, I don't see how.
Yeah.
But people are finding ways to save.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, if you don't have any money to save, you can't save. But for those who do have some cash flow here, a couple of years ago, they were in a negative spending thing, meaning they were spending more than they were making. And they can't get credit right now, so they're forced to save a little bit. And that's happening up to 6.4%. And then we've got Visa and MasterCard out there saying, hey, there's activity picking up, but it's not credit card spending, it's debit card spending. And this represents kind of a cultural shift that's going on in the U.S. where people are sort of getting back to learning to pay with cash and not with borrowed money so much.
In fact, I read an article, and it was either the New York Times or Washington Post about that, and MasterCard's a little bit concerned because this changes the entire culture out there. Yeah. And with credit cards perhaps becoming extinct and people using their phones to go ahead and swipe that credit or debit purchase, it could mean that Visa and MasterCard would have to change their whole way of thinking. That said, let's get back to the whole back-to-school issue. Didn't have the tax holiday this year. We do in 2010, and it starts on the 13th?
It does. It's actually next Friday through Sunday, and, it's basically a 7%, excuse me, 7% savings on any purchases under $50. I did get some great coupons in the mail yesterday and in the newspaper today, so keep your eyes open. And hopefully this will be the kind of thing to induce some spending there, get consumers out there, get them rolling, and the retailers are desperately in need of moving some inventory. It's kind of a chicken or an egg thing here. Consumers don't want to buy till they feel better and see that unemployment rate coming down that you mentioned. And retailers don't want to hire more people until they see the product moving off the shelf. So
before we go to the store, sit down, and just Google the item, and you can comparison shop and get the best deal.
Definitely. You want to avoid anyone maybe raising prices a little bit to offset the tax break. It's probably not going to happen. Most of the big box retailers are really on top of what's going on out there. And I think what you can expect here is maybe longer lines but better prices.
All right, so let's nail down consumer habits. Everybody's looking toward tomorrow, and they want to have confidence before they shell out the bucks.
Yeah, this big shift that we've been kind of alluding to here is really key. People are going to sit on their hands. They're not going to spend. It's being referred to as a new normal out there. They are starting to buy cars because cars just wear out, and they're continuing to buy diapers and razors and shampoo. We can't live without that stuff.
Staples.
Exactly. And, it's a matter of time now till the wheels get turning. People have to buy this stuff, and that's kind of what kickstarts an economy 9 times out of 10 times coming out of a recession.
But just because you have to buy it doesn't mean you can't get a deal. Do your homework. Joe Krier, always a pleasure.